we see the bride of Messiah abducted in the last days. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day number 4 of the Torah portion of Vayera. Let's go to chapter 20 of the book of Bereshit, or Genesis, and start with verse 1. And Abraham set out from there to dwell in the land of the south, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. And Abraham said concerning Sarah his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, sovereign of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, see, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. However, Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Yahweh, would you kill a righteous nation also? There's a lot going on here in these few verses. A lot you can make a lot of connections out of. Number one, let's remember that Sarah is in her 90s. Yet she is still radiant, beautiful, lovely enough that a sovereign, a king, sees her and takes her to be a part of his harem, his wives, his concubines. He wants her. When you read Romans chapter 4, evidently there was in the belief of Abraham and Sarah so strong in the promise that it rejuvenated their bodies. Remember, previously, Sarah has said in chapter 18, the way of women is no longer with me. In other words, she had entered into menopause. She's in her 90s. She has lived in the outdoors. I'm not saying that she was weather-worn or gray-haired or any other negative descriptive. She had been rejuvenated. Her belief rejuvenated her. Now, if they could put that in a cold cream or some kind of substance to put on, someone could be an extremely wealthy person. But this is belief, and she is still a beautiful woman, desirable woman. I just find that information fascinating. Secondly, Abraham, for the second time, is identifying his wife as his sister. We recently discussed this at House of David. How does it make Sarah feel when her husband refuses to acknowledge that she is his wife and keeps calling her his sister? Now, later on in verse number 12, Abraham, he explains this, saying, truly she's my sister. She's the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. So she is a half-sister. He married her in a foreign culture before he received the Torah. So there we have it. So he is vacillating between identities for Sarah. This leads me to an understanding. Do we identify as the wife or the sister? Is he a husband or is he a brother? This is not just about Sarah and Abraham. This is about the bride of Messiah and the Messiah. Wrongly identifying the Messiah means that we wrongly identify the bride. To rightly identify the Messiah means that we have to be the legitimate bride. The illegitimate bride, the wrong bride, cannot lay claim to the legitimate Messiah. Let me explain. It's in the name of Abimelech. It is a compound title. It's not so much a man's name, but his royal title. Abimelech is made of two words. First of all, Avi, A-V-I, Avi meaning father in Hebrew. The second word, Melech, M-E-L-E-C-H, Melech, meaning king. My father the king. or the king is my father. I'm going to make a little bit of a stretch here, and you're welcome to disagree with this. It's not a doctrine. This is an idea. This is plausible thought. So let's keep it on that level. There is another kingly figure in the earth who has operated as a sovereign or a king for thousands of years, who's also called Father, and that would be the Roman Catholic Pope. The Roman Catholic Pope, the Roman system, the Roman religious system, not necessarily the adherents in the people, but the system itself has sought to seize the bride. Matter of fact, a word study of the name of the place Gerar, its root word means to drag away, among other things, to snatch. So they're living up to the identity of where they are. So Abimelech, my father the king, perhaps the leader of this religious system by extension, is seeking to take the bride and claim the bride for himself. And when Yah moves upon him and allows him to know, you have taken another man's wife, you are going to be destroyed, he's asked the question, Yahweh, would you destroy a righteous nation, a Hagoy Gam Sadiq? But let's look at this again. In verse number 7, it says, return the man's wife, for he is a prophet. Yah is speaking of Abraham. He calls him, not Abraham calling himself, Yah calls Abraham a prophet. What is the prophet's estimation of this place? If you go over to verse number 11, and Abraham said, only because I said to myself, the fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. The prophet's discernment concerning Gerar and concerning the people of Abimelech was that they had no fear of Elohim. Without the fear of Elohim, there is no righteousness. So the estimation of Abimelech about himself and his people is not necessarily correct. The prophet says that's not so. So what we have to understand and glean from this, at least I think, is that we maintain a right identity of who the Messiah is. If we follow the tenets of religious systems of any variety, not just the Roman version, but any variety, that will remake, re-identify, recalculate, redraw the identity of the Messiah, the only way they can do that is to do away with the what's the word I'm looking for? The qualifications. There, I found it. The qualifications of the Messiah. The qualifications of the Messiah are found in the Torah and the prophets. Yeshua said that if you did not believe Moshe or the prophets, you're not going to believe me because they wrote of me. In the book of the scroll, it is written of me, he said. Messiah Yeshua is not Messiah because he healed the sick or walked on water or multiplied bread. He is the Messiah because Moshe says he is. The Torah describes him as such, and he fits the qualifications. If you do away with the Torah, you do away with the legitimacy of Messiah Yeshua. If you do away with the Torah and the prophets, anybody can be the Messiah because you come up with your own qualifications. The religious system wants to do that. If the religious system can re-identify the Messiah, then they can also take the bride and re-identify the bride according to their own desires. And that's what religion is doing in our day. Doing away with the boundaries that Yah has set. Doing away with the decrees of righteousness, the commands, the precepts that Yah has determined for us. And applying a greasy salve of uber grace over the top of this and saying, everyone come on in, everyone's included. not so. More on this tomorrow, and until then, shalom.